Welcome to another LinkedIn Live broadcast. Today I'm going to be talking about the subject, how to prepare for a bid. You know a bid's coming. What do? Do you wait until you get the RFP or see the tender publicly advertised through the public sector tender alert systems? Or can you be more proactive rather than reactive and actually prepare your organization for success with this bid? Are there actions that you're able to take before the bid actually lands on your desk to start working on? I'm going to talk about quite a number of things today that you'll be able to do to help your organization prepare for success. While a lot of the things I'll talk about will apply if you are currently delivering the contract incumbent supplier, tomorrow I'm actually going to speak specifically about how to win as the incumbent supplier. But please stay on, because you're still going to get a lot of tips today, and I'll be covering other things tomorrow, some very specific actions that you can take where you're already delivering the contract. So, as far as the potential client that you've got here that you know is going to be coming out to tender in the public sector, or perhaps you know that they're a private sector potential client and that you're going to be invited to submit a proposal or provide a quotation for them. What can you do? Well, what I'd say first of all is get to know that client as well as you possibly can. Now, that's going to include things like obviously looking at their website and looking at information that's on there. Maybe it's annual reviews. Maybe in the public sector, it's even committee meetings or board papers, perhaps, if it's housing association, NHS trust, etc. What access are you able to get just as an ordinary member of the public looking online about this organisation? You can also do search engine searches about them. Look at where they've been in the news recently. Look at the sort of issues that they are facing. Now, these, particularly if you're thinking about things like committee papers, they will yield a rich vein of information. You might even find a committee paper that's talking about the contract coming out to tender. It might even talk about the current performance of the contract, maybe what some of the issues are, what they're looking to achieve with the new tender, and sometimes even maybe things like budget information, key performance information, sometimes information that you won't necessarily get within the tender pack. You'll actually get additional information by looking at what is publicly available. I say publicly available, but it often needs a bit of detective work on the organisation's websites, because the information can appear to be hidden, not very easy sometimes to find, but persevere and you will find useful information for you here. Public sector, often the organisations there often publish their procurement strategies. So you'll be able to see there what is important to them when they're procuring goods and services, the objectives that they're looking to meet, perhaps savings, efficiencies, etc. You'll find out things about their social value, perhaps aspirations, what the contract needs to be delivering there as well. So getting as much information as possible is very important. It could be as well that you can start to perhaps think of who the key decision makers might be, or at least the departments that will be involved in that. Take a look at what they're doing just now. Are they speaking at any events that you could perhaps attend? Most of the events, of course, taking place virtually at the moment. So are they publishing information perhaps in trade or sector journals? Are they posting thought leadership information perhaps on places like LinkedIn or Twitter? So take a look at what they're doing, and that will definitely help to get you ready. Also, Do you know people that work in the organisation? Again, do you know them personally? You've obviously got to be careful, particularly in the public sector, about the approaches that you make to them. But particularly before that tender starting gun has been fired, any useful information that you're able to get about the organisation could certainly be helpful here for you. It could be that you've got people in your organisation who perhaps used to work in that organisation, or perhaps that organisation was a client of theirs in the past. So gather the intel that you can. That's very important to do so. Also, what information can you get from your sales leads in your organisation, your business development people, your account managers? It could be that you're not currently working with this client, but you're working with similar clients. So if you're working with similar clients, what are the issues that these similar clients are having? Because the chances are that your potential client is having these similar issues too. So you really want to be clear about what is going on within the sector, within the organisation that you're trying to bid to here as well. What do you know about your competitors? Who are the likely competitors going to be? Who currently is delivering the contract? How are they performing? How can you get into that information? Well, as I said, sometimes it'll be available publicly. Sometimes it'll be available by talking to people. Sometimes if you think there's going to be enough time before this opportunity comes to market, you could perhaps issue a freedom of information request. And I would strongly recommend you don't issue it from your organisation. You perhaps get someone you know who perhaps lives in the area served by that organisation to ask a freedom of information, some questions under the Act there. These questions could even include asking for a previous bid, and you might be able to see what happened before and be very clear there. So also take a look at the organisation. If it's a public sector organisation, they're probably putting quite a lot of other contracts out to tender at the moment. So it might be worth registering for one or two of these, because what you'll start to get an understanding of is what is their qualification criteria. Because the qualification criteria is vital, because if you don't pass the qualification criteria, then your bid cannot even be considered. Or if it's a two-stage process, you will not get invited to second stage. So for example, what are they looking at in terms of accreditations, insurance levels? What are they looking at to do with financial and economic standing? What about the credit rating? What do they look for in terms of case studies? What do they look for in terms of reference contracts, including actual references, perhaps? So you need to be thinking about all of these, and this is your opportunity to start planning, making sure you've got your ducks in a row when it comes time to bid, because when that starting gun gets fired, you're only going to usually have a few short weeks to marshal all the information that you need together within your bid. That makes me also think about the people that are going to be involved in your bid. So giving them some early warning that a bid is likely to come up. Sometimes in the public sector, they flag ahead of time that the bids are going to be coming to the market. And they do this through what they call PINs, prior information notices. Usually on the prior information notice, it will give you the actual date that they are planning to bring this to the market. Sometimes it might just say the month, but sometimes it is the actual date. So what you could do then is you can start putting it on the radar of the people within your organisation who are going to be involved. Who's going to be pricing this contract? Who's going to be writing the bid? Who's going to be managing the bid? Who's going to be looking at the legals, the contractuals? Who's going to look at this specification? What team of people are you going to need here? What is their resource availability like? Are any of the key people likely to be on holiday? Are you going to involve external bid specialists as well to perhaps oversee the process to some extent, to input their expertise, to review your bid before it gets submitted. So again, you want to line up these people. Are you going to be involving any other partners in the bid? Is it a partnership bid? Is it a consortium or joint venture type situation? Have you got your arrangements in place for that? Also, are you going to be using subcontractors or subconsultants? Is your supply chain going to have to be involved in pricing some of the information that is required for the commercial or pricing element of the submission? Again, giving early warning to people who are going to be involved is going to be helpful to get it on their radar, to make sure that they've got the bandwidth, that they give this the priority that it actually needs. Or you can also have an early identification of any issues that there are likely to be, and you can put contingency arrangements in place for this. Is there going to be a Meet the Buyer Day? And again, most of these are are taking place at the moment virtually. Make sure that you can attend that and make sure that you go informed about what is going on. If things are at this prior information stage, is there a soft market testing option? Are you able to submit a paper into the organisation that you're able to tell them about your services, but more importantly, about the sort of solutions that are possible for them, and perhaps just some information about indicative costings, etc. What's available within the market. Now, that type of market intel is actually prized by procurement and commissioning people who are, it is in their interests that they deliver something to the market that is of interest to the market. So letting them know that you're interested, giving them suggestions as well, then it might be that that helps to actually shape what is coming to the market. So in terms of your bid team and those who are going to be most closely involved, I would say that particularly where you think that there is a likely date of issue of this tender or private sector RFP, then by all means start to get some placeholder dates into the calendar. It could be that you even hold a planning meeting even before this opportunity actually lands. Just an initial scoping, planning sort of meeting here. It would be one that the sales would obviously take the lead on as well, because they would be bringing this opportunity to the business and they would probably have some intel on it as well. So the placeholder dates, obviously these can move if the dates actually move, but how good it is to be working on a proactive basis here rather than on a purely reactive basis. So I hope you're finding that these hints and tips are helpful for you in how to prepare for a bid, how to get your organisation lined up and ready to bid, not just waiting on when the bid lands, but proactively taking steps both within your organisation as well as reaching out to subcontractors, subconsultants, supply chain, bid specialists, any additional assistance that you're going to need to make this successful. But I've also been covering today in this broadcast how you may even have an opportunity to send some information to the client while they're still at this soft market testing stage before the tender documents actually are issued. It's important as well to be watching the news, maybe setting alerts, whether it's about the sector and about this particular client organisation, because you want to be really up to the minute. So as when this bid lands and during the bid process actually as well, you're very clear on what is happening both in that organisation and in the wider sector it sits within as well. In fact, actually within the whole economy. So as your bid has real currency as well. So getting yourself prepared and getting your information sources ready. An important information source is, of course, your current staff. And the super bidding organisations actually have all their staff thinking bid. They're not just leaving it to the bid team to write the bid with perhaps input from the sales team, but they're actually everybody within the organisation is aware that the organisation wins work through a bid process. So if something's going well, or if they get some good information coming through from a client, thanking them for their services, perhaps they've worked together with a client in a spirit of partnership, working, resolving an issue, then all of these things can usefully come into the bid team, because these are like bid gold dust that you can scatter appropriately within your bid. And often that sort of bid intel doesn't necessarily sit within the bid team. It's information that has to come from operational or service delivery teams, but it's got to find its way back into your bids. So you can prepare for a bid as well by helping all your staff to think bid. It's important as well also that your organisation is involved in leadership, because leadership helps you to get onto the radar of your client in different and sometimes more subtle ways. So if, for example, you've become known as somebody who's able to comment on your sector, perhaps you're a member of a trade body or something like that as well, or you're perhaps some kind of voluntary board member for something else. Anything where you can get your message out there. So in particularly for your own organisation and your own sector, being involved in thought leadership, having meaningful things to say, not only about what's happening now, but about the future direction of the sector and some of the issues it faces. Of course, COVID-19 and this so-called new normal that we've started to move into, that's something that is causing some real strategic thinking to be going on, and you want to position yourself there, making it clear that your organisation have got something to say on this subject. And show also it might be that your products and services, you've pivoted in some innovative ways, and you're able to really deliver not just the things that were looked for in the past or even the present, but you're positioning your organisation to deliver services that are fit for purpose for the future as well. So anything that you're doing around technology, innovation, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, robotics, all of these sort of things, it would be great to publicise what you're doing and stand out within your sector if possible. So being known, getting your name known out there, that can also subtly help as people are marking or evaluating your bids. And it's not the first time they've heard of you. They've maybe heard of you in several different ways and through several different sources. So I did mention at the start that I'm going to talk tomorrow about how to win a bid as the incumbent supplier. So if you can come back on tomorrow, Tuesday, the 18th of August at 12 noon again, then I'm going to be talking about the incumbent supplier. The incumbent supplier potentially is very well positioned to win a retender opportunity, but there are also some pitfalls for them as well. So I'm going to discuss all of these tomorrow. It's been great to have you on the LinkedIn Live broadcast today, how to prepare a bid. I hope you found it helpful. It might be that you're listening to it on a catch-up recording. So thank you very much for doing that. And of course, I'm happy to see anything put in the comments. You'll get further hints and tips on bidding on the AM Bid website, www.ambid.co.uk. And you're also, please, very, very welcome to contact me directly, Andrew@ambid.co.uk. Thank you for joining us.